I'm just gonna have to pan.
Oh my god, that furries in our midst. Guess what? 1 minute to go. And also, if you guys are stopping my booth at the vendor hall, I have these little Nick and Judy duckies as well as these awesome Zootopia pins. Make sure to stop by and get those.
Get them, they're awesome.
Here, race. Race, you can hold Nick during the panel if you want.
Here, let's be our representative. Here.
Come on, have him as your mascot.
He needs to stand.
They're gonna.
He's not gonna stand.
They're very close.
Okay. They did say they were allowed to come in. I think so. All right, we're just gonna close the door then.
What are you?
Yeah, what are you? An okapi.
Why aren't you an okapi? Or a dolphin?
I want that back. Race. I want that back. Don't steal it.
Yeah, an okapi.
Why aren't you?
We'll see.
We'll see.
See if you get it.
What?
It's not a dolphin or a cat.
I pay good money for that.
Dinosaur.
No, because like I want to choose something that would be in Zootopia.
That would be in Zootopia.
What?
Oh my god, the sloth scene.
All right, everybody, we're starting now, so let's get quiet down.
Oh my god. That's Swinton. Two. I can be.
This is why forevermore I will always get DMV. They try to be helpful, but other times you're so rude, and you've been there for too long.
Come on, you guys sing along.
Nobody learns without getting it won. Won't give in till I reach the end, until I start again. No, I won't leave. I want to try everything. I want to try anything.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Yay!
Yeah, thank you. All right, welcome to minute 41 of the Zootopia Minute podcast. I am your co-host because my co-host is not here. I am Choco Pony. You guys might know me in the pony fandom for doing pony stuff like selling art and stuff. I'm a con artist just like Nick. That's why I'm dressed like Nick. And for those who don't know, that song was composed to us by one of our good friends, All of Us at Once. So if you've seen him, he's not in the room right now, but if you see him, say thank you. That was an amazing rendition of the song. And because my co-host is not here, I am joined by 3 special guests who may or may not be very, very big Zootopia fans, depending on who's judging. And I'll let my mom, my first guest, who am I right, introduce himself and on the line. So.
Hi, I'm Paleo Steno, and I do a bunch of stuff on YouTube with movie reviews and cartoons and like especially animated movies like Zootopia.
So you didn't admit your problem.
What's the problem?
How obsessed you are with Zootopia.
I know.
I didn't know that, Paleo.
Hey guys,
Can't stop.
I'm AC Race Best, a YouTuber.
Woo! Race best.
And I think I saw Zootopia once.
You're in denial.
At least 30 times.
My name's Saber Spark, and
Hi, Saberspark.
Hey, Saber.
thank you. And my buddy here, Reyes, has gotten me hooked on this movie as well.
Curse you, race best. You and your problems.
Hi, since you guys are all here, perfect time for you guys to sign in for me.
Okay, well, for people who are listening on the panel, because this is being recorded, We had some random staffer
Sorry.
just come and interrupt us, so
You're
I guess
rude.
This should be edited in the channel. That's weird.
Cool, don't put my face on.
Oh, I guess we're gonna
It's
edit
too late.
everything.
This is live stream, buddy.
Yeah, fine. I guess in the
No, it's
editing
fine
there.
because we're going to go over a very bureaucratic thing with the DMV, and you have bureaucratic work to do.
How ironic is that?
It is.
I just got here.
Yeah, I guess
Just
it is.
make sure you guys are here, and
It's all good. Son.
You have duct tape?
This is just his way to get our autographs.
Oh,
really,
do I?
really.
So now, I guess we'll just start with that 1 minute.
yes.
So, that is probably the most infamous scene of the movie. Before the movie even came out, that was the one promo clip they were releasing online for everyone to see. I guess by now, even people who have not seen the movie Zootopia have probably at least seen that scene.
Who hasn't seen
at
that
some
scene?
point in time. In fact, if you guys were looking on Twitter, we retweeted a picture of someone who worked at the DMV dressed like Flash. So I mean, but when you think about it, like what other fictional DMV characters are there?
None.
I mean, yeah, it's basically only Flash. So let's think of
Do
another
the
movie.
Simpsons have
That's
one?
it. All right. So, what did you guys think about that 1 minute? Out of context.
Like you said, it's one of the most iconic scenes from the movie. I remember, like, when there were trailers for Zootopia, you know, arriving before the movie aired, of course, hence trailers, that, like, entire movie theaters would erupt laughing watching it. I'm like, this is promising. They really nailed this scene, and people, like, can really relate to it, because everyone dreads the DMV. No one likes it.
Yeah, it played before like every movie that I watched in like early 2016, before the movie came out. And like every time, like people would laugh. And then when I finally saw the movie and that scene came up, people are still laughing.
Yes,
So
yeah.
I'm not sure if like they didn't see it or like
Yeah.
because there's a lot of people that only see like 2 to 3 movies a year.
This was a real good example. You sometimes see in a trailer that it's funny that one time, and then you know people are like, okay, that's now we're not laughing during the movie. This is
Yeah.
the exact opposite of that.
Yeah.
Where, like you said, every time I saw the movie, folks, 30 times in theaters I saw this movie. And
God
every
damn.
time the scene got a reaction out of people. Every single time. It was never once just quiet. It was, I mean, I was the
Are you
one
part
guy.
of people?
But, you know,
I went to the DMV recently, and I was chuckling because I had to go back about 5 times. They kept, like,
I don't think he's gonna
proper-
stand up.
I wasn't having the
Oh, no, he is.
paperwork that they needed, and I kept
Look at
going
that.
back and forth, and I'm like, this scene just rings so true to me. How infuriating it is, or infuriating it is.
I think Disney started to also realize they had some gold with this one because
Yeah.
this was the teaser. The movie that this teaser released with was Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
And it beat The Force Awakens.
So this movie, I think they were starting. It was pretty good, wasn't it?
Well, the DMV, like you're saying, the struggles for the DMV is universal. Almost every American computer, and even people from other countries, have a similar structure, bureaucratic structure to the DMV. So that's why everyone can identify with that one
Yeah.
scene. And then comparing it to another anthropomorphic animal show, BoJack Horseman, like
Oh, yeah.
in the recent season, they already had their own scene with trying to deal with the DMV and when lines fill out paperwork and whatnot. So, and of course, the big joke you can think of, in the world of animals, you have to make the people who work at the DMV sloths. And I actually think when they made the movie, this clip probably was the first clip they made because it was the one that was showing like all the teasers. It was the one that was previewed online, and it's the one that got the most laughs. And I think kind of convinced them, hey, this might actually be a promising movie. So that's why I was actually wondering if they made that scene first, and then they had to try to fit it within the movie, because when you really think about it, Judy, she could have, even though she was not in the system, she was working on a case. She probably could, go back to the police station and do it, but they just wanted that laugh, right?
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Do you think they just kind of added it in retrospectively, or do you think it kind of still works in that context?
I think it works. I think, I mean, okay, I'm not sure this is switching gears too much, but like one of the most beautiful things about movies that have animals in it is that you can look at an animal and just seeing the animal already speaks so much of their character. Nick is a fox, he's crafty and sly. and Judy's a rabbit, and they're busy, and they're trying to get things done. And then the sloth was a stroke of brilliance, being super slow. It's like, yeah, we get it. So, but to answer your question about like going back to the DMV to do that, I'm glad they had that scene in because it is a golden scene. Maybe we should go back to the police department, but at that point, I'm like, let's go ahead and start drifting away from the department. Let's get her out into the field and see how she interacts with the world of Zootopia.
Yeah, I think you did bring up a good point because you kind of think of these stereotypes that each animal represents. And you think of rabbits as always jumping fast, they had to go very balanced everywhere. And sloths are exactly their polar opposite. So putting these two characters together, even not knowing what their characterizations are, like you didn't know who Flash was at that moment, but you know something beautiful was going to happen when you get these two in the room conversation with each other. As we see, Flash was slowly speaking, and Judy kind of interrupts him. And after he explains, well, I'm as flying as I can be, she's like, gives a little, all right, that was awkward. And we end there. We don't know what's going to happen in the next minute, so stay tuned.
Yeah, she. I remember another beautiful thing about this, I guess, teaser was obviously it's a scene in the movie, but it also worked because it really didn't tell you anything about the movie. It just started opening up with there's an animal movie coming, and already there's a lot of good humor just from that one scene. So that it opened up a lot of promise for it.
Yeah,
I think when they use this as a trailer, that's what really started what would become the success that this movie had in theaters. So yeah, it was a smart scene to use, and obviously in the context, a very hilarious scene.
All right, who saw the movie opening day?
All right,
Did actually.
I didn't. I didn't realize how much I was gonna love this movie until
The biggest fan saw it the last.
Who saw it opening day when the furry convention was also in town?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I saw it.
Or theater.
I saw it opening day when Furry Fiesta was in Dallas, and yeah, that was kind of funny seeing a bunch of fursuiters in the theater. And when the wolves would howl on screen, they would all howl.
Those poor moms and dads are like, "What's going on in this movie?"
I saw it 3 different times, and I love the reactions. Like each time I saw it, the audience would have different reactions. Like the second time I saw it, it was very, very sparse theater. There was like no one there. There was like one black family right sitting in front of me, and the mother every time. I think she identified with Assistant Mayor Bellwether because every time Nick was trying to touch her hair, she's like, "You don't touch that. You don't touch that."
It's true. It's true.
And then the last time I saw it, again, no spoilers since we're going minute by minute. But there's a last scene in the movie where you think something's gonna happen, and when that thing does happen, the kids start crying like their eyes out. And even when it was shown, no, it was actually a ruse, the parents had to take the kids out because they were still crying. So
Oh my gosh.
I guess this movie kind of did scare some kids. But it was interesting seeing all the different reactions based on the different audience
I think what gets me about Zootopia is that, like, I love it when there are studios like Disney, of course, who can just bring an original property and just knocks it out of the park.
Oh, yeah.
Like when How to Train Your Dragon came out, I was like, this is amazing. This is like DreamWorks made this. This feels so much bigger than what they usually go after with fart jokes. That's really serious. And then, you know, I'm not saying Zootopia was like unexpected from Disney, but I'm like, this really again like reinforces that new wave of like content they've been releasing. Because I keep forgetting that Zootopia came out in 2016, and then Moana came out later that year. And I was like, that was a great year for Disney.
Yep.
And both how they captured like, because I always look at Disney where on one side there's the princess films, and the other side there is whatever the heck they want. You know, Wreck-It Ralph, you know, the old school Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Lion King.
Lion King, yeah, because
Frozen.
when Lion King was being made, it was considered Project B, while Pocahontas was Project A. So all the good people are working on Pocahontas. No, that's a big thing. Like, okay, ragtag team, go to Lion King. Good luck. Boom! Lion King just destroys it all. Yeah. And the people in Pocahontas are like, oh man.
It's funny. I think speaking of Lion King, I think College Humor did a poll of what was everyone's favorite Disney animated movies. And I think Lion King and Zootopia were like in the top 3. So if you think about the Disney animal films are like
The
ones
best.
that people like.
They're the best.
I've seen some pretty heated debates online where people are like, "What's better, Lion King or Zootopia?"
Ooh.
I'm not saying we have to choose now, guys. You're in a Zootopia shirt. No, but that's the thing is like, it made me realize.
Oh no!
There's your answer.
No, you killed Nick!
But it makes you realize how passionate fans are about their movies, and I love that though. Like I think that's one of the driving forces behind like media these days, and it's
Well,
always
the fandom we're a part of. People are
Yeah.
still not considering Eloquent Twilight canon, so
Yeah.
you know.
Look at Star Wars with EA and Battlefront and how the fans are.
Yeah, that's fun.
They're like, you're killing us.
All right, if you guys want to listen to more of the podcast, you have to pay for new microtransactions. 5 minutes. All right.
$5 to each of us.
It's so cool that social media has been able to make it to where we don't need to like a middleman to like communicate how we feel, and that we can just get our voices out there, and the creators can go, okay, this is how the fans, this is how they're feeling.
Yeah.
And
In fact, Angry Joe actually did something on that too.
who's that? Who's that?
Angry Joe, the video game reviewer, he's really popular. He's a
This is
YouTuber.
Zootopia, name canon. We're not talking about gamers. All right. Well, Saber, you actually did bring up a good point about how unique Zootopia was compared to princess films. But even outside of that, most of the Disney properties are based on pre-existing stories or fairy tales. Even Lion King was based off Hamlet. Zootopia was one of the few films that actually was an original property that Disney made. And actually, if you look at it, actually that's what interests me, because I saw Moana right after I saw when Zootopia and Moana came out the same year. I saw Moana. It was a great movie, but I thought, wait a minute, I've seen this before. And I kind of charted Moana was Frozen and all the Disney Renaissance films. I realized, wait, each of these films follow a very specific cookie cutter formula. You have that opening scene, the I Want song, the run away from home, finding new friends. All of a sudden they feel like someone betrayed them, the villain, and then the ending. And then
Spoilers for the future.
Jeez, I want to see Frozen 2 now.
breaks that mold,
There you
and
have it.
you can see it. It is a Disney film, but it's so different than what Disney has previously done.
That's
Even
so
Moana,
something about Zootopia that I really liked is how in the trailers I'm like, they're kind of, this is gonna be a fun LOL, bunny movie. Oh my god, it's about racism and the glass
Drugs!
for like females and like the workforce, and I was like not expecting this heavy message where for kids they're not gonna go, oh, it's racism. They're gonna go, oh, I feel bad for the bunny. But for adults, it's like, oh, I can like see what this is, like real world stuff going on, where it's about like, I'm not just some token bunny. I'm not just some token black guy, in the forest. It's like, no, I'm actually a person who worked hard for this. And that really speaks to me. I think it's a beautiful message that was very mature, and also not just mature because it's typical for quality films to not do well in the box office. But Zootopia was very high quality and made a whole lot of money.
Yeah,
$1 billion.
It gives kids that first message of like, this is why it's bad to discriminate, especially like, you don't know somebody just based off of, their background, what they look like. It's about who that person is. And so yeah, it teaches kids very early on discrimination. Don't do it.
Did you all get emotional watching the movie at all? Because like it got me during like the scene where like Nick stood up for Judy. I was like, oh my god, like this is getting me. It's so beautiful because we talked about this last night. It's not the minute we're talking about. So I'm sorry.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Go ahead.
I won't. Guys, who hasn't seen the movie? Who hasn't seen the movie? That's my girlfriend. She's lying. No, it's good. I mean, I still don't want to like go forward from what we're talking about.
Nah, that's fine. But no, it really did deserve its Oscar win.
Yes.
It was the same. This is actually the first year Disney released 2 animated films that are not, one of them was not Pixar department, 2 from the animation studios. Zootopia and Moana. This was also the same year I think Kubo and the Two Strings came out. So we had some really high quality. I would say Zootopia did really earn
Yes,
that
absolutely.
award,
Indeed.
despite the others, because like you were saying, it's universal. Like I think some people saw it as classism, some people saw it as racism, some people saw it as like facing the patriarchy. But that's the beauty of it, because doesn't matter what your background is, everyone could insert themselves in either Nick's or Judy's role, which I liked.
The animals, like we watched a video a few years ago. It was one of the CR. He talked about that furry movie.
Oh, Animalytics?
Yeah, and how like you have certain animals, like a cheetah is fast, so it's good for an athlete-like character. Again, like Nick being a fox is good for someone who's like a sly, almost like a car salesman who's gonna trick you out of your wallet. So like it's so cool how animals are universal to our speech. As humanity, we're like, oh, elephants are big and loud and raw, and mice are chip, I'm quiet and and I'm gonna
Bailey
have a multi-billion-dollar company and run the world. So he's next door, isn't he? But no, I mean it's just so cool because it's like the writings on the wall. You don't have to like be told how these characters are. You just see them and go, oh, I get it, yeah.
Yeah, because I think that was the issue. A lot of TV shows and films that have come out within the last 2 years, especially surrounding the election, have been explicitly political, and it's kind of shoehorned in there. You kind of know what the end goal, what they're saying, their statement or philosophy is. But Zootopia is such a universal theme that no one person can, this is a right-wing movie or this is a left-wing movie.
Yeah, it was also like the story was like worked on like years and years prior. So.
Yeah, the most beautiful thing about like going on the discrimination side of this is that I love that you can literally look at it as it's telling you that it's not just a one-way street. Anybody can get it, and that's I think something that is sometimes lost in the real world. And it's like, oh,
well, there's that scene where the tiger, that very handsome tiger who treated me right, he sits down on the tram and like the mother bunny and like takes her baby bunny and kind of like holds her close, and I'm like, I can't relate to the tiger for that, but I'm sure people in the audience who watched the movie can go, yeah, I felt like that before. Where you feel like you're the scary one, when in reality you've done nothing
when
wrong.
You walk around with your brony shirt, you never get
Or the scene where go back to the jungle predator, and it's like, I'm from the savannah or something. Like, I don't know, like you don't. It doesn't have to be like too ham-fisted. It's just like we can kind of draw from point A to point B. And be, oh, I get it. Yeah, it's like from the real world.
Actually, no, that actually happened to me. I wasn't wearing a brony shirt, but I was in the theaters for the I think My Little Pony movie, and there was assigned seating, so I had to sit in one specific seat. And there's like a kid and her mom right next to me. They saw me. This guy like discreetly got up and just moved one seat. Like, oh, okay.
You should have gotten up and walked over when we see close. Throughout the movie.
But something like that has happened, and it's like, oh yeah, everyone can identify. Not only can you identify the tiger, like I'm sure there's some people who identify with that the mother and the child at some point. Like, oh, there's a scary person on the bus. Let's kind of just move away.
Oh my gosh, the scene that got me the most, I think, actually. I'm just going to do ADD here, whatever. Can we talk about spoilers? Is that okay? I mean, is there anybody
Only
who cares?
for you.
But just make sure in the audience, is there anybody who cares about spoilers?
I don't mind.
I don't care.
Well, again, everyone's seen the movie.
Okay.
I think we all seen the movie.
We're allowed to break one rule per episode, so I'm allowing you to break that rule.
Thank you. So, Gideon, gosh.
Gideon Gray! He's big now.
I'm sorry. When Gideon Gray, the very end of the movie, when he like saw Judy when they were grown-ups again after they were kids, and he bullied her, and he was like, "Listen, Judy, I had a lot of aggression, and I'm sorry." It's like this guy went to therapy for this. He knew he had a problem. He went through the motions of figuring it out, and now he's in a better place. I'm like, that's so cool for this guy to get to that point on his own, and for the parents to be friends with him. Yeah, and you see Judy's like, okay, this can happen.
I didn't see that coming in the movie.
Me neither.
Like I thought he was just gonna be your typical, oh man, that guy was a jerk.
Yeah, they broke that stereotype. Yeah, it was wonderful.
It's in his den.
I mean, what other film takes your generic bully character and makes him a character with development?
Beauty and the Beast.
Well, okay, that.
Yeah,
but besides,
jerk in that movie.
I tell you,
besides Beauty and the Beast.
Gaston. There's a trampoline that caught him at the very end, and he came out of that just fine.
Oh, so he had ups and downs.
No one dies like Gaston.
That's something else I saw when I was rewatching all these Disney films. The villain always dies because of something they've done.
Clayton from Tarzan?
Yeah.
Tarzan's like, let me not. Let's make this preventable. I don't want you to hang yourself. He's like, I'm doing what I want.
Dead.
I have a question for you. Do you like Bellwether as a villain? Do you think she's like?
Do we know she's a villain yet? Oh yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry, but like, as in like, there was that question of you got the.
Go ahead.
You got the current Disney revival with these from Moana, Zootopia, whatnot. One of the complaints about this current revival is that the villains are not as good as it used to be.
That's something the nostalgia critic brought up.
The Renaissance about like Ursula, Jafar being like these big villains of like Disney, and they
whereas like for Moana, Zootopia, Wreck-It Ralph, like Frozen, even like they've all had a villain that has like not started out as a villain.
Yeah, it's
I think
like
they-
kind of a mystery veil there.
Yeah, they called it villain in disguise, and
Yeah.
there's always a red herring character. I think Alan Tudyk always in all these movies, Alan Tudyk voices the red herring character who you think is a villain. So
Yeah.
I think up until Zootopia he was.
yeah,
Was
because
me?
Duke Weselton, he was Weaselton in this movie.
It's Weaselton. Duke
yeah.
Weaselton.
He was King Candy in Wreck-It
Yeah.
Ralph, but in almost every single one of these movies, since Bolt was the first that he started voicing in, he was a character who was kind of the red herring if you didn't know if he was a villain or not. So yeah, I think you're right. The animation revival, the Disney revival specifically, does have a unique way of portraying the villains. But I also think it's part of the greater part of the animation revival where. Like, so if you guys don't know about history, there's always a period called the Golden Age, there's always a period called the Dark Age, the Renaissance, and another Dark Age, and then there's a revival. So it follows European history. If we think about the so if we think about the 90s,
Where's the
as-
brownie pan?
The animation crusades where animators go to the promised land to take it back.
So in the European Renaissance, the artists and writers went back and looked at the Greek and Roman Golden Age, and basically a lot of people say the animation Renaissance got started when John Kay went back and did Ren and Stimpy, looking back at the Golden Age of animation. Likewise, got started for Disney when they went back and did Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Now, the animation revival happened because instead of looking back at the Golden Age, people were looking back at the Renaissance period, seeing what was great about them. But then you could kind of see that all of them kind of inform each other. Like, it's no coincidence that My Little Pony and Adventure Time both came out in 2010, and they both have a very, very unique way of crafting their episodes, and they were both made by folks who worked at Cartoon Network during the 90s Renaissance period, and that kind of inspired all these feature shows that came out, like Gravity Falls, Steven Universe, and actually all these shows have like kind of the reformed character as well, like the bully who kind of became reformed, or the hidden villain, the unexpected villain. And you can kind of see this mirrored in what's happening with the Disney revival as well, which is just, I wonder if it's something that's kind of in that zeitgeist, or if it's just like that phase, that time we're in now, where we're trying to reinvent these fictional characters.
Like I don't know. I feel like humor has evolved with the times.
Yeah.
Where like if you look at the new DuckTales, like the triplets, the nephews, they actually have personality now, and they make jokes that are like, I don't know, they're more relevant, like with the generation.
They're basically all Rainbow Dash.
Yeah. They reinvented Webby for the show because she used to be, I'm a girl, I like pink, I like dolls, I'm scared. And now she's like, I'll go get her, who like actually is like a spy almost. And it's like that's really kind of a breath of fresh air that's quite enjoyable.
Yeah.
She impaled her like original design.
Yeah, I saw that. Like they actually have the old character like against the wall. Like,
Stuck with a knife.
So we apologize for everyone crammed in this small
There's some
room.
more seating over here.
Yeah.
If anybody would like to like just scoot over on the seats, so people have more room.
We did
I have a
request
quick
larger
question for you
room,
guys.
But I guess they gave us a small room, and as you can see, even us
Yeah.
panelists are
We
kind of
should've had the
cramped in this
podcast
small
panel this
area.
We're just good friends. That's
All right.
I got a quick question for you
Sure.
guys.
We'll take the questions right now.
What did you guys think of the original concepts with the shot collars?
I don't like that.
Well, there you go.
Okay. Actually, I think I mentioned this at one of our previous panels, but it's still a great, interesting concept, but it does not work in the context of this Zootopia universe. But the idea I had for future Zootopia movies would be kind of in the style of the Tezuka films. If you've seen Tezuka's anime and animated films, he would reuse the exact same characters as actors, but in completely different roles. So I'd love to see like an anthology of Zootopia films, but they all take place in different universes and worlds, but have the exact same characters, just portraying different roles. So we could realistically have that shock collar one, or the one where Nick is doing his spy work, and that other concept.
It's the shot collar stuff seems a bit too dark, I think.
Yeah.
Because even as an adult, I'm like, that's really dark for a Disney film.
Yeah.
I'm glad they took.
Yeah, and I think the message wouldn't have as quite the impact
Yeah.
because it would be very one-sided.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Nick was the original main character, and then they switched to Judy, right?
Yeah, it was
In
also
9
very black
months.
and white.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you know who the bad guys were, you know who the good guys were with the shock collars.
You didn't. There wasn't a lot of
thought that would go into like watching a movie like that, because like you guys said, it's very it's blunt as far as bad, good, and
It's a very much so a Western.
I think and I think they said the creators were like the biggest issue that they had with that original concept was that nobody was able to relate to any of the characters.
Which is surprising how this movie became a success, because you hear horror stories of films and scripts being rewritten over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
And Zootopia, that wasn't even one of the concepts. Like the spy film idea was
Jack
also
Savage.
another